I'd like to call this Waste Reduction District of Monroe County Board of Directors meeting for Thursday, January 11th, 2024 to order. First, we'll begin with a roll call. We have Town Council Member Dan Swafford.
Present.
County Commissioner Lee Jones.
Here.
County Council Member Jeff McKim is here. City Council Member Isabel Piedmont-Smith.
Here.
And it looks like we have County Commissioner Penny Githens on Teams.
Here. And Julie.
Oh, there's Julie too. And County Commissioner Julie Thomas too.
Here.
For the record, this meeting is on Zoom.
This still is Zoom. Okay.
Yeah, we did not get it switched over to Teams yet.
Okay.
Next month.
Thank you. Okay. So we do have an in-person quorum, but we will be operating under hybrid rules. So next we have the election of officers. And so I guess first thing I will entertain any motions for nomination of president.
I nominate Jeff McKim as president.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, thank you very much. I accept and am willing and eager to serve this board again. So we'll do a roll call vote.
McKim?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Piedmont-Smith?
Yes.
Swafford?
Yes.
Githens?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Could we have this monitor turned on?
He just said that he didn't think we could, unfortunately.
Oh.
I know, it's
Okay.
unfortunate.
I do apologize. This meeting was noticed before I got the notification that the county was switching everything over to Teams, and so we already had the Zoom noticed and set up, and they're accommodating us by allowing us to keep it on Zoom this month.
So if anybody wonders why our necks are all like this in the meeting, that's why. Okay, I will entertain any nominations for vice president.
I'd like to
I
nominate
move to
Penny
appoint
Githens.
City Council Member Isabel Piedmont-Smith as the Vice President.
Second.
Okay, we have one nomination. Would you like to make another nomination?
I'll let that go.
Okay. All right, if there are no other nominations, we'll do a roll call vote on Isabel Piedmont-Smith as vice president.
Thomas?
Yes.
Piedmont-Smith?
Yes.
Swafford?
Yes.
Githens?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McKim?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we'll
Thank
move
you very much. I'm willing and happy to serve again.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, well, then we'll also do, I'll entertain any motions for nomination of secretary.
I don't remember having had a secretary.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
third member of the executive committee.
Oh, okay. Then I would like to move that Penny Githens be nominated secretary.
Second.
Second.
Excellent. Motion and a second. Penny, are you willing to serve again?
With you, Jeff, and with Isabel there, sure.
Oh, thank you. Okay, any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Piedmont-Smith?
Yes.
Swafford?
Yes.
Githens?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McKim?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. All right. Well, terrific. So we have the same executive committee as we did in 2023. Look forward to continuing with both of you.
Isabel.
Well, no, the executive committee was the same.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm obviously confused. Too much rushing.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so we'll move on to the executive committee meeting minutes from December 5th, 2023. This is not a voting item. Is there anything you want to call attention to?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, any comments or questions about the executive committee meeting minutes from December 5th? Okay, then we'll move on to the approval. This is a voting item of the Board of Directors meeting minutes from December 14th, 2023. Anything, Mr. McGlasson, that you want to call attention to?
Reviewed and some typographical and grammar corrections made by the executive committee.
Great.
I will move approval of the Board of Director meeting minutes from December 14th, 2023.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I do have one question, just because we're not seeing the whole Zoom view that we normally do. Is from this screen, do we have any members of the public on Zoom?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm only seeing the cat's feeds on the Zoom. So.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and here we have our seventh member of the board and our only new member of the board. Sorry to call you out, but welcome. Welcome, Mayor Thompson. Good to see you here as well. So let the record reflect that Mayor of City of Bloomington, Carrie Thompson, is present in person. All right, so we'll move on to the controller's report and begin with cash flows. Sorry, we just one quick thing. We have new technology here, so we normally would have this screen here showing us what's going on, but we don't. So we only have the side screens. And to speak, you want to press the right button on the microphone to turn it green.
I'm going to look over your shoulder. My computer is dead.
Oh, okay, sure, no problem.
Those side screens can be turned toward the panel.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, they are. They're just not. We still just have to kind of turn our heads. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and do cash flow?
The cash flow summary is on page 8 of your packet, and a revised summary was sent to you yesterday in the weekly email that included the claims for approval. The change on the revised summary is inclusion of the current number for the landfill post-closure account. We didn't get the statement in time to get that into the packet. So the balances, the operating balance as of December 31st was $4,170,627.18. The balance in the savings account is 0. That has transferred out last year. December 31st balance for the closure bond debt was $142,169.97. The December 31st balance for the capital account was $45,704.33. And the landfill post-closure was $757,825.38. The individual cash flow statements for each of these are on pages 9 to 13 of your packet, and the operating fund graph is on page 11. The landfill post-closure cash flow was also included in the email. The cash flow statement for that account was also included in the email sent to you yesterday on page 12 of that file. Questions on the account balances?
Let's see, are there any questions from the left? From the right? Yes.
Would now be an appropriate time to ask a question about the included cash flow statement tables for revenues and expenditures? Okay, so I did have a question. Thank you, Ms. Martin. And I'm sorry, here in the Nat U Hill room, your lovely face is covered up by the subtitles. But I know who you are. So on the when we look at the expense table of expenditures for 2023, it looks like we had an excess, or so our budgeted amount was greater than what was actually spent in the end, to the tune of $57,165. but I'm a little bit confused because that number is in the negative at the bottom of the year-to-date actual less budget column. And I wasn't sure how the 2022 encumbered column factors in. Could you explain that, please?
So are you on the operating fund cash flow statement?
Yes. Page 10 of the packet.
Do you want me to address that, Ms. Martin?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the right page here, so if you've got it, go for it.
I guess I can't explain why. It has always been this way on this spreadsheet, the cash flow spreadsheets with the revenues. Excesses on the revenues have always shown up as a negative, and I'm going back multiple previous controllers, and it's a formula thing that we can certainly change.
But actually, I'm looking at the expenses table.
Oh, the
In
expense.
the revenues table, the excess is positive, 79,740. So we
Right.
took in more revenue than expected, it looks like. But the next page, the difference is a negative number, and I don't think that reflects spending more than what was budgeted.
Because we didn't.
Right.
I'm
So
gonna-
but why is it
Because the
negative?
budget,
I'm gonna say-
because you're subtracting the budget, which was bigger than
Yeah.
the spending,
Yeah.
which gives you a negative.
Okay, so you're
Actual
subtracting,
less budget.
Less budget.
So
And
actual
the budget's a
minus
bigger
budget.
number.
gotcha, okay, I'm
And-
sorry. In my head, I would always take the budget first.
And the,
Yes.
the encumbered column, I guess it doesn't necessarily factor into the budgeted appropriation, but it just shows where we had money encumbered from the previous year. So a line that may show an excess in expenditures should be offset by that encumbered column amount where we carried money over from the previous year.
So even though we did carry over expenditures of 188,641, we still came up with a budget surplus of 57,000. Okay. We're doing well.
We try to.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions? Any questions from Zoom on the cash flow?
No.
Okay, we'll move to payroll and claims.
On page 14 of the packet, you have a total for the payroll and claims that were approved since our last meeting in the amount of $183,681.45. Documentation for those claims follows in the packet on pages 15 to 25. And in the email you received yesterday with additional claims for approval, this included claims processed the week of December 25th, which were not on the approved vendor list, and that was the amount of $6,226. Claims approved under Resolution 2022-02 in the amount of $9,236.51. Payroll of $24,474.31. Payroll claims of $10,407.98. And claims for board approval in the amount of $25,312.29. We also had the debt service payment of $150,385. Backup is on pages 2 to 10 of the file that you received yesterday for the additional amounts that was not in the packet. That brings a total of all of the payroll and claims that we are presenting and recommending for approval to $409,723.54 as reflected on the payroll and claims summary that was sent out yesterday. Questions on the claims?
Are there any questions from the left? On the claims. From the right? Yes.
Yes, I had two questions. First of all, on the claims report that was emailed yesterday, we have John Hancock employee loans with the names of the employees. Is there some way to redact those? That seems like unnecessarily.
Normally we do. It was just an oversight. We always redact those. But
Okay.
it was,
That oversight, and we apologize for that.
Okay, great. And then I had a question about the payroll. So comparing the payroll that was processed on December 25th and the payroll that was processed on January 8th, the withholdings were quite a bit less on January 8th. And looking at the line items, it looks like there were no state or county taxes withheld. Is that
We
just
don't pay the state and county taxes. We only pay the state and county taxes once a month. So on the first payroll of the month, I don't pay those, and I pay those, so the next time those will be included in that,
Okay, so you pay them for both payrolls, but just once a month?
once a month.
Okay. All right, thanks, Ms. Martin.
Thank you. Any other questions from Zoom? So, Mr. McGlasson, did you want to address the debt service situation?
Make the board aware, if we'll refer back to the cash flow statement for the debt service fund on page 13 of the packet. You might note that the current balance of that fund is less than the check up for approval today. That is, well, we're still trying to figure out what happened. The December tax disbursement was not enough to bring our balance up to meet what was necessary to pay for the February 1st payment. I've talked with the auditor's office. The tax disbursement is correct according to the budget order. So we're engaging with DLGF to try to figure out what happened in the budget preparation process and why there wasn't enough tax revenue there to cover the payment. So we're still seeking answers from them on that. And in the back end of all of this, there will probably be some work with SBOA to determine how we reconcile the books. However, our plan and DLGF, has approved us doing this. What we have transferred excess funds from our operating account to the debt service account in the bank so that the payment up for approval today will be covered. We will make our debt payment. We will not default, which is the key thing. Also, to make you aware, because this will show on next month's cash flow statement, the shortage on the payment was a little over $8,200. However, the account, the debt service account at the bank, is a type of account that does require a minimum balance of $10,000 to avoid service charges and fees. And then we also have, if you'll recall from late last year, the bank increased their annual agency fee. So we already knew we were at this point, or at some point this year, going to have to do an additional appropriation of $350 to cover that agency fee that was we were notified of after we had this year's budget done and approved. So with the extra $10,000 and the additional $350 for the agency fee, you're actually going to see a transfer of $18,600 that went into that account, which will cover the payment, leave us our $10,000 balance, and have the necessary funds, not knowing what the June disbursement will be, to make sure the agency fee is covered as well.
So my understanding in talking with the auditor's office is that we did ultimately receive the correct amount of money total.
Yes. Based on the budget order issued by the state, we received the correct amount of tax disbursement for the debt service. So it's a budgeting issue that, like I said, we're talking with DLGF to figure out what happened, how do we avoid that in the future, and they have advised that. In the next budget cycle, which would be 2025, the inadequate bank balance should be reflected, and the revenues should be bumped up so that we'll recoup that money and it can be given back to the operating fund.
Okay, terrific. Anyone on the board have any questions about this? Yes.
I'm sorry if I missed a memo or something. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. So I'm looking at page 8, the cash flow summary. Oh, maybe I should be looking at the one that was issued in the email yesterday. But let me see. I don't know if that was any different. So we had a balance, 142,170.
Recording stop. Recording in progress.
A balance of
Recording stopped.
Oh dear.
Should I wait for the recording to start again? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Zoom problems.
Let me see if that's me.
Joy was listed as a co-host. Can he restart it?
Recording in progress.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
Continue.
Okay, so if I look at the cash flow summary, we had 142,170 left in the closure bond debt account. And you're saying that the payment that's due in January is higher than that?
150,385, and that is on your docket for approval at this meeting.
Sorry, I missed that. But we were, the revenue that was brought in 2023 is the correct amount.
Correct. Yes, yes.
So how are we going to make up that difference that we're now borrowing from the operating fund?
Well, DLGF has advised that when we go through the budget cycle for the 2025 budget, our anticipated 2024 year-end balance will show that shortfall. And so they'll raise the levy to make the difference up for 2025.
Oh, okay. So the levy can be shifted. Great. Thank you very much.
And one other thing that I forgot to mention, in moving money from the operating fund to the debt service fund, because the county council has binding authority over our budgets, we will actually need to go retroactively seek approval of that transfer from the county council. So would ask in the process of approving the claims that the board at least offer a consensus to authorize staff to make that request of the county council.
Okay. Thank you. Did that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion for approval of payroll and claims. And please, if you're so willing, include permission for Mr. McGlasson to seek approval retroactively for the transfer from the county council.
I will make that motion. Do I need to repeat it?
Okay, no.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of payroll and claims and allow you to make the request to the county council.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Githens,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to Resolution 2024-01 to amend the district approved vendor list.
Sorry, I'm trying to get. So as indicated in the packet, or in the memo on page 26 of the packet, this is a housekeeping measure, and I do apologize. We try not to bring this to the board frequently, and we did do this in September, October, but we've had a number of vendor name changes. We have a new internet and phone service provider, as well as the district changing its name. We thought that updating the vendor list for expedited payments was something that needed to occur.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the right? From the left? And from Zoom? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of Resolution 2024-01.
I move approval.
We have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Jones,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the technical services agreement with Lau Associates.
Ms. Martin,
There
are
were
you-
a couple of questions on that raised at the executive committee meeting, and if you want, I can go ahead and address those, or how do you want to do this?
Sure. Can you just give just a brief introduction just for the public and other board members who haven't been in on this discussion, just as to what we're talking about?
On page 12, section 5, in the first paragraph, there was a question raised about the last sentence referencing authorization permitted for a reasonable period thereafter. And it was questioned, what is a reasonable period? And that was the first thing that we took back to Lau and asked them about. And he said that concerning this one, he said it's really hard to say, to put a number on what is reasonable, because it kind of depends on if we were to decide to leave Lau, then we have some options. We can lease our software long-term for view-only purposes. We can set a date where we no longer wish to maintain our database and its data. He said historically, almost every customer who has left made an agreement to keep our software in place rather than converting the entire history. And we talked about this a little bit when we talked about just the conversion and looking at different vendors for our software, because we've got a lot of history with Harris, and we have to make some decision on what we're going to do. We paid for the license for this year so that we have that. Lau will convert the data year to date from January 1st up to the time that they we convert to their system. And so a lot of this reasonableness depends on what would we do if we left them. I mean, I feel comfortable with the way he explained it. It's not something that you can just exactly say a particular point in time. So a lot of it is just, he said, if you notify us appropriately of your intentions to convert away with us, we'll work out an agreement so that we can do whichever one is best for us. Do we want to go with someone else, pay them to convert the data, and we're done with them? Or do we want to continue on with them for a period of time to maintain our history for however long that we were with Lau?
Okay. So is that all you have on the presentation, or do you have other information that you want to present to us?
The only other thing that we talked about in the executive committee meeting was about the data conversion and the conversion of history as specified. And so we did contact them and ask specifically, is this, they will convert year-to-date data for us, and that is something that Lau will do. And Tom and I actually had a conversation with one of the partners today, and he said that is correct. They are doing the conversion. They will take that data, depends on which type, because there's a lot of different areas that we're converting. Some of those they can use reports from Harris. Some of it, we don't have that many employees, so sometimes rather than trying to extract the information, it's easier for them to just manually enter it, but they do the conversion.
All right. Okay, thank you. And just in case anybody's not familiar with what we're doing here, essentially this is an agreement to replace our existing accounting system with the district from Harris, and to move from Harris to Lau, which is the same system that the county uses. And this agreement would be essentially licensing the software and having it implemented by the company and converting our existing data to date and the software maintenance fees. Is that essentially correct?
And training staff.
And training, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. So I guess with that, are there any questions from the left on this agreement? Actually, I should ask you, Mr. McGlasson, is there anything else you want to add to this request?
No, we certainly appreciate the board's, consideration of this. Ms. Martin and I both feel that I guess in essence, we have outgrown our current software system and feel that this would put us in a much better place for financial record keeping purposes of payroll and accounts payable.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the right? Any questions from Zoom?
I guess I just wanted to see if Mr. McGlasson could remind us of the dollar amounts we're talking about, or Ms. Martin,
I'm sorry?
the dollar amounts.
Page 46.
Yeah,
is where they-
in total, you're looking at, there's three different schedules in the agreement. I guess beginning on page 46 of the packet. The first one being the software license itself and purchasing the physical software for $39,000. The second schedule being technical services and support, which includes that data conversion, the staff training, their time installing the software, and that's $14,995. And then the third one is the annual software license / maintenance agreement in the amount of $11,890. So about 64 to 65,000 in total. And then again, I'm sure that it will change year to year, but that annual maintenance licensing agreement that in the Schedule C that is $11,890 is a recurring annual fee.
Thank you. I thought it was important for the public to know what it is we're talking about. I appreciate Councilmember President McKim summarizing the issue and Mr. McGlasson summarizing the financial part of it.
Okay, any other questions from anyone? All right, I'd entertain a motion for approval of the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Thompson,
Yes.
McKim,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the annual reappointments to the CAC.
Annual housekeeping measure for the, again, the Citizens Advisory Committee is a committee that we are required by state statute to have, made up of residents of Monroe County that are either concerned citizens or representatives of the waste industry, that have an interest in waste management, recycling, what it is that the district does. The resolution that establishes the CAC does make those appointments terminate December 31st of every year, so they must be reappointed. Unfortunately, we did have one member this year that elected not to seek reappointment. You can see that in the memo, but do have the remaining 6 members all did request to be reappointed to the CAC, and they're presented there for your consideration, and can be reappointed as a group or individually, whatever the board's pleasure.
Great. Okay, thank you. Let's see, do we want to, why don't we go ahead and read out the names of each of the members who are considering for reappointment?
Okay. Requesting to be reappointed are Joseph Winia, John Arnold, Paul White Sr., Brad Lucas, Bill Goins, and Matt Austin.
Thank you. Let's see, are there any comments from the left?
Just thank you to all of them.
Absolutely.
I will make a motion to approve reappointment of those 6 members to the CAC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve all 6 members to the CAC. Again, Joseph Winia, John Arnold, Paul White Sr., Brad Lucas, Bill Goins, and Matt Austin. So we'll do a roll call vote.
McKim,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you, and indeed, thank you for all of you for serving. Thank you for Ryan Edwards for serving in the past. And can you remind us how many members we can?
Yes, I was going to ask, the resolution caps the membership at 15. So there are a number of open seats on the committee, and we certainly would encourage any resident of Monroe County that has an interest and is interested in the district to apply to the committee, or at least reach out and learn more about the CAC and the district and what we do.
And we can appoint them at any time.
Correct.
So yes, please do. If you know anyone who is interested in recycling or composting, as we start getting into interested in managing organic waste, there may be a lot of members of the public that might be interested in that as well. Please do go to the district website and apply, or visit attend a meeting, or reach out to express your interest. So, all right. Let's see. We'll move on to establishing the 2024 meeting schedule.
The board has historically, at the January meeting, established a monthly meeting schedule for the remainder of the year. There certainly is no requirement to meet at any established frequency, just frequently enough to make sure the business of the district is conducted and approved in a timely fashion. But historically, the board has met monthly on the second Thursday at 4 p.m. in this room. I have confirmed that if the board wishes to keep that schedule, this room is available the second Thursday at 4 p.m. for the rest of the year. But it is the board's discretion as to when you would like to meet.
Okay. Let's see. Are there any comments from the left on the board schedule?
I'm fine with the way it is.
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay. How about the right? Mayor Thompson, are you good with that? Great.
As far as I know.
You don't have your full schedule memorized yet, huh? All right. Well, I'll if nobody wants anything changed, I'll entertain a motion to set the meeting schedule to the second Thursday of each month at 4 p.m. in the Nat U Hill meeting room.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All right. I guess I'm not going to take public comment on that one.
Well, I was just curious if any of the members on Zoom had any questions or concerns about that, continuing the existing schedule. I didn't catch if they chimed in on that. So
I see Penny shaking her head.
Yeah, it is, it's just tight because I have standing meetings at 5:30. I've had afternoon meetings that have run into this, so I will do my best to be here for as much of the meeting as I can be.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I know there's never any time that's perfect for everyone. So, all right, let's do a roll call vote.
Thomas,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith,
Yes.
Swafford,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
McKim.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Well, let's move on to. Don't we usually do CAC?
We do. The CAC did not meet in December because we had the joint meeting in conjunction with the board meeting. Also, Mr. Winia unfortunately had a conflict today and is unable to attend, but I would, not to put anybody on the spot, there are 2 CAC members in the audience. If either of them would wish to give a report, it would be the board's discretion to allow them to do so.
Actually, we only have one.
We lost
right now,
one.
But
Snuck out on
do you have
me.
any interest in? Okay. No.
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on then. Thanks. Let's move on to department reports.
I'll just, we're, kind of consumed with implementing the rebranding at this time. So staff's working hard to get all that done. I will note that everybody seems to have done really well answering the phone so far, which was one of the big hurdles that I was worried about. We are. And Mr. Long may have more information on where some of these orders sit. We are working with right now 2 local sign companies to replace existing signage as well as get some new signage ordered and in place. So, between that and dealing with year-end financial stuff, that's kind of what I've been consumed with. But be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. And any questions from the right, from Mr. McGlasson?
Just a comment. I think your rebrand is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, really on cue with where we are in the world. Nicely done.
And from the left? And from Zoom?
I would like to thank the CAC and everyone involved with the rebrand. It was a lot of work. I appreciate that. And thank you to Mr. McGlasson for attending the council and the commissioner meetings this week to help bring the public up to speed. So it's great. Thank you.
I'm curious if you have received any feedback on the changes to the bulky item schedule.
I guess really about the only real feedback I've gotten has been in the past couple of days with making the announcement at the county council, the commissioners, and city council meetings. But the feedback was all positive. Everybody seems to like the logo and the name, and the direction that projects. So it's all been good.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you. All right. Looks like Mr. Long is on next, and unfortunately, we can't really see you because the captions are right on top of your image. But look, great. Now we can.
Okay, so we've been working with the 2 sign companies, as Mr. McGlasson said. We have placed orders and received large bulky item schedule signs that we will hopefully get posted at the sites next week. We've ordered some smaller ones, so that the large ones will go on the fence outside, and they're supposed to be able to see the signs from 25 feet away. The smaller ones we will post inside the site. We've also ordered new signage for top of the buildings. We've ordered new signage for the road fronts. It's just a process of going back and forth, approving the proofs right now, making sure it's what we want. But a lot of it has been ordered, and they're in the process of finalizing and making them, and some of them should be delivered tomorrow on into next week. With the household hazardous waste, staff has to go through a HAZWOPER refresher training every year we do, and everybody has completed that. It's their annual 8-hour HAZWOPER and 8-hour DOT refresher training, so we've done that in December. The rural recycling centers and the main recycling center, we was informed this week, and I signed my first invoice that Good Earth will no longer be accepting the Christmas trees for free. We will now be paying to dispose of those or get them composted. And that's what I have. If you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Long? From the left or from the right? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Long, for your report. So what is the cost to the district for those Christmas trees?
Without the hauling, it looks like $200 is what the first box was, I believe. I don't know if it's going to go up or down depending on the trees, the amount of size. From what I understand, there's different components. So if they have great big trees, the price could go up.
Okay.
It depends on the base of the tree of how big diameter it is.
The DBH?
So when they run it, sorry?
Is it the DBH, the diameter breast height? Yeah.
Yeah, so depending on how that is and what's in the box is how they're going to charge us.
I see. Okay, but we've paid $200 so far.
Yep.
What was that term you used?
DBH.
What?
Diameter at breast height. That's the way to measure the size of trees.
Yeah.
So obviously your height has a lot to do with it.
Yes, that's right.
All right. I did not know that. Wow. Thank you. Any questions from Zoom? No. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Long.
Thank you, guys.
And let's see, do we have Mr. Paulson here today?
I would just, Mr. Paulson was out last week, so we did not, he unable to get his report submitted to be in the packet, but it was included in the email yesterday with the claims.
Saw that. Thank you.
Hello. December was another pretty dry month for the landfill. So we just basically kind of did the same kind of stuff we did in November. Got a bunch of areas around between the new hill and the CD hill cleaned of removed of sediment and trees to better drainage, and another spot along where the old entrance used to be along Fish Road. We had water going the wrong direction, so it's now going the right direction. So those are the kind of things that Nate was working on. The groundwater sampling event, we got all the data for that from Pace Labs, and it's all been forwarded on to AECOM for their analysis. I didn't really see anything that was out of line for our historic times for December. The parameter list, this was the long list, so it was a many parameters per list. You know, it's the full list for what the item requires. But nothing that was standing out as anything that's not part of our historical data. So I don't really see anything changing with what the state is going to ask us to do moving forward. The other thing I would highlight is that our environmental compliance for the year, our total numbers were not as, the actual number was not as high, but our weights were like off the charts. So like we had taken up, I'm trying to find that number, over 15,000 pounds of trash off the side of the roads this year with just that compliance piece, which is a lot. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's almost 4 tons with, you know, you think of the kind of stuff that you see on the side of the road, that's paper trash and those kind of things. We're already working on a plan for 2024 as to how to organize more the community cleanup, or not community cleanup, but the organized coordinated cleanup kind of things like we did with Rogers Road. We kind of got into it for a little bit, and then there was some staffing things, and you know, some of the more challenging roads, we got to have 4 or 5 people out there to be safe to do it. But we're already, Mary Beth, Danny, and I are already working on kind of figuring out how we can make that a little more frequently than we did last year. And then our adopter road numbers were way higher. So Mary Beth has done a great job of engaging the community and getting volunteers to clean that stuff up. 81 for the year is the highest, most we've ever done. So that you consider that's 81 miles of road that volunteers have cleaned up, you know, just to do what they can do. So, and we're hoping to continue with that with 2024 and keep moving forward. So, you guys have any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
Well, that 81 miles, that's fantastic. That's great to hear.
Yeah, that's a big number. I mean, you think about that's a big number. So.
Yeah. Thanks. Comments or questions from Mr. Paulson from the left? Yes.
Mr. Paulson, have you noticed an increase in tires discarded for compliance cases now that we have started accepting, an increase or decrease now that the district has started accepting waste tires?
I keep track of some historical data from year to year to year, the time that I've been here. Our numbers dropped, but they dropped by about half. So like last year we pulled up 97 tires. Let me see if I can find where that historical stuff is. And I think the year before we had like 240, you know, so we're still seeing tires, not as many, kind of more isolated, 1 here, 2 here kind of thing like that. it's hard to say. I mean, we're still, the compliance cases where we have people who are working with to get their properties into compliance with the county codes. We're actively trying to encourage them to, you know, do it that way, you know, bring it to us with that kind of stuff like that, as an affordable way to do that. We did see a big drop off for a while, you know, when it was all published and stuff like that. Like, we didn't have any for a couple months in a row, and then it just kind of like that fall winter season when people were changing tires out, we started seeing them again. But, you know, hopefully as we keep promoting this, hopefully we'll see less and less. But, you know, kind of like the needle program, and we still see needles out there, even though there's a lot of that kind of stuff, because, you know, as much as you try to put it out there, some people they're not engaged that way, you know, and they just don't have that information, and for whatever reason, they just dump it.
Well, it sounds like it did make a dent in the number of, it sounds like our program in the district to collect waste tires has made a difference. So
yeah, I think so. I mean, I think in the big picture, it gives the community an opportunity to dispose of these affordably, you know, and you know, some of these, I don't want to, you know, cases that have been around for a long time, tires is a hurdle, you know, that's a big hurdle in how to dispose of them and where they can dispose of them, you know. Before we did this, Indianapolis was the only location that you could get that stuff up to, and, you know, transportation's an issue, and then how many tires can you take at a time? And, you know, at least this is an opportunity, you know. I don't think they're all taking advantage of it, but we can keep promoting it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Paulson? On Zoom? All right, thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you.
So now we come to the time where we take public comment on items that are not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public that would like to make public comment?
I do now see one member of the public on Zoom, so if they have anything to say, please raise your hand and we'll make that happen. I'm not seeing anything.
All right. Not seeing any takers. We'll move on to comments from directors, starting from the left. Moving to the right.
Just I wanted to welcome Mayor Thompson to the board.
Thank you.
Yes.
Indeed. Oh, somebody's hand is. Okay. Yeah. Now we'll move to Zoom. Commissioner Gibbons.
I also want to welcome Mayor Thompson, but at the last exec board meeting, I raised the issue of, are there other uses that we can find for the landfill, whether they generate additional monies or not? And so I would love to have this group and the CAC start to discuss those things. You know, I've heard Mr. McGlasson say at some places the landfill is like a miniature golf course, and Commissioner Thomas has talked about, is that a place where we could do composting? So I would like for us to see if there are other ways that we can use this land, because it's a fairly large tract.
Yeah, thank you. And we did have a discussion at the executive committee meeting about that subject. Thank you, Penny, for bringing that up. And I know that there were some questions about how much of that land was usable, how much of it was in a floodplain.
Yeah, Mr. Paulson and I are looking at identifying, you know, what portions of parcels are in the floodplain. The landfill proper is about 4 different parcels, I believe, plus some property south of Anderson Road on there. But as I said at the executive committee meeting, I know that a large portion of that is in a floodplain, which would not be suitable for composting. But we're identifying areas that are not in a floodplain, that do not have trash buried, that would be potential for composting, and you know, wooded areas obviously would not be. And so we're trying to identify and put some acreage numbers down on you know, what space might be available, and would be suitable, and would it be large enough for such an operation.
Indeed. Great. Thank you. Any other comments, Penny or Julie? Nope. Okay. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.